Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, my dear friends. Santa Claus here, and today I'm not bringing you cookies, toys, or candy canes. No, no, no. I'm bringing you secrets. Secrets from the vaults of the world's richest banks. You see, while most people are swiping their credit cards for Christmas shopping, billionaires are calling their private bankers and moving hundreds of millions with a single phone call. Today, I'll reveal how the ultra-rich use banks to finance their Christmas. Their secret credit lines, their exclusive cards made of titanium and gold, and the kind of transactions that make Santa's sleigh look like pocket change. Buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll see Christmas not as a holiday, but as a financial performance of power one. Why December is the busiest month for billionaire banks. December, my dear friends, may look like a month of joy, lights, and family dinners, but behind the glittering trees and Christmas carols, it is also the busiest season for banks. Yes, while I'm flying around delivering toys, the world's private bankers are flying around delivering credit lines, loans, and liquid cash to the richest clients on Earth. For billionaires, December is not only about celebrations, it's about financial choreography on a scale most people can't even imagine. Let me take you behind the vault doors and show you why this is the month when banks work harder than ever. Wrap gift the illusion of spending versus reality for most families. Christmas means spending. Buying gifts, booking trips, organizing dinners. Credit cards are maxed out, and January becomes a month of regret. For billionaires, however, December is not about spending. It's about moving money. They don't think in terms of shopping bags and receipts, but in flows of capital, leverage, and assets in motion. Santa Claus, when ordinary folks think, I need to buy a Christmas tree, billionaires think, I need to move $200 million in assets before the 31st to optimize taxes. Ho, ho, ho. This means banks must work overtime, because every billionaire transaction in December is not just a gift. It's part of a much bigger puzzle of wealth, power, and prestige. Chart increasing December equals the closing season. Why December specifically? Because it's the end of the financial year. Billionaires need to finalize tax strategies before January 1st. Many move assets into trusts for heirs, disguised as Christmas gifts. Banks push new wealth management products that must be locked before year-end. So while people like you and me are buying wrapping paper and cookies, billionaires are buying Picasso paintings, Caribbean islands, or rare diamonds, and their bankers are ensuring every cent flows through the most efficient structures. Santa Claus at the North Pole, my elves rush to wrap presents. In Zurich, Geneva, and Dubai, private bankers rush to wrap deals. Same panic, different toys. Mantelpiece clock speed and urgency. Why everything happens at once. December compresses everything into a few weeks. Luxury auctions take place in December. Christie's, Sotheby's, Phillips. Resorts, chalets, and yachts are rented last minute. Banks must move tens of millions in a matter of hours. Stories abound of billionaires calling their banker on December 23rd saying, I need $50 million liquid tomorrow morning to buy a painting. Find me a chalet in Courchevel for 2 weeks. Price doesn't matter. Arrange a Patek Philippe Nautilus by Christmas morning. And yes, banks deliver. Because losing a billionaire client is far more expensive than bending reality to meet their wishes. Santa Claus, when Santa gets a letter last minute, I sigh. When a billionaire calls last minute, banks don't sigh, they scramble. Their jobs, their bonuses, their reputations depend on it. Bank the banking hubs of Christmas. There are 3 major capitals of billionaire Christmas banking: Zurich and Geneva, Switzerland discreet, stable, legendary for secrecy. This is where private wealth is managed with surgical precision. London and New York, home to the biggest auction houses and real estate deals. December here means art sales, penthouse purchases, and financial fireworks. Dubai, the new luxury hub, where December coincides with winter sun, yacht parties, and extravagant shopping festivals. Santa Claus, I make global deliveries, but bankers? They do global transactions. Zurich handles the quiet deals, London and New York handle the flashy ones, and Dubai, well, Dubai handles the ones with gold-plated wrapping paper. Money bag, how much money moves in December? To give you an idea, UBS alone processes billions in December client requests. Auction houses often generate 30 to 40% of their annual revenue in December sales. Luxury brands see record profits thanks to bank-backed transactions. Think $10 million Cartier necklaces purchased with private credit. One report showed that over $200 billion moves through private banks in December worldwide, much of it directly linked to Christmas-related spending, gifts, and asset transfers. Santa Claus, my sleigh carries gifts worth joy. Their banks carry gifts worth empires. Top hat banks as magicians in December. The real reason December is busiest? Because banks transform into magicians. They turn stock portfolios into instant liquidity. They disguise wealth transfers as gifts. They arrange for auctions, jets, yachts, chalets, and diamonds to be acquired with invisible speed. Santa Claus, when a billionaire says, "I want this under the tree by Christmas," bankers don't say impossible. They say, "Yes, sir." Would you like it with a bow in red or gold? Adult Christmas tree Santa versus the bankers. A comparison Santa Claus, I've always thought of private bankers as my rivals. I deliver presents in December, and so do they. The difference? I get paid in cookies. They get paid in commissions bigger than the GDP of small countries. Santa's elves equals bankers' analysts. Santa's sleigh equals bankers' private jets. Santa delivers joy. Bankers deliver wealth. Both are working overtime in December, but only one wears a red suit, and it's not UBS. Book stories from the billionaire December rush Santa Claus. Let me tell you what I've seen from the rooftops. The midnight call in London. A billionaire called his bank on December 24th asking for $25 million to buy a last-minute Van Gogh at Christie's. The deal was done by sunrise, the painting under the tree by morning. The Swiss chalet in Zurich, a bank arranged for a Middle Eastern family to rent an entire alpine village for Christmas week. Ski slopes closed to the public, every chalet decorated. Cost? $15 million for 7 days. The Diamond Tree in Dubai, a banker arranged a Christmas tree decorated not with ornaments, but with actual diamonds and emeralds. Value of decorations alone, $11 million. Santa Claus, and people still think the North Pole is magical. Ho, ho, ho. Santa Claus, so why is December the busiest month for billionaire banks? Because in this month, the wealthy don't just spend money, they orchestrate it. Banks become their elves, vaults become their workshops, and deals become their Christmas miracles. For you, Christmas is about gifts under the tree. For them, it's about assets moving like reindeer across the sky too. The secret credit lines of the ultra-rich. Now, let me take you deeper into the world of billionaire Christmas magic. Because while most families are swiping plastic cards at the mall, billionaires are dialing private bankers and unlocking lines of credit that would make your head spin faster than Rudolph on an energy drink. Yes, my friends, today I reveal the secret credit lines of the ultra-rich, the invisible sleighs of money that allow billionaires to buy anything, anywhere, without ever touching their actual fortune. For ordinary people, credit is something that comes with limits, with applications, with a lot of questions asked by the bank. You fill out forms, you wait nervously, and maybe, just maybe, you're approved for a card that lets you buy a new sofa or a television. For billionaires, credit is a completely different universe. They don't apply. They don't wait. They don't ask. They call. And with one phone call, hundreds of millions of dollars appear like magic, delivered not by Santa's elves, but by teams of private bankers working in glass towers in Zurich, New York, London, and Dubai. Why do the ultra-rich prefer credit over spending their actual cash? The answer is both simple and brilliant: leverage. Imagine you are a billionaire with a fortune tied up in companies, properties, and art. If you sell part of your fortune to buy a Christmas gift, you trigger taxes, you risk the value of your holdings, and you lose long-term growth. But if you borrow against those assets, well, then you still own everything, you avoid heavy taxes, and you get instant liquidity to buy that $50 million yacht for your Christmas cruise. Santa Claus, meanwhile, when an ordinary family maxes out their credit card, they're buying flat-screen TVs and holiday turkeys. When billionaires max out their credit lines, they're buying private islands and paintings worth more than entire neighborhoods. Ho, ho, ho. Same principle, very different scales. Let me explain how it really works. Imagine a billionaire who wants to buy a Picasso at a Christmas auction. The painting costs $40 million. Now, even for a billionaire, liquidating $40 million in cash on short notice is complicated. Stocks may need to be sold, which could send negative signals to the market. Real estate can't be sold overnight. And moving that much money creates a tax headache bigger than Santa's sack. So instead, the billionaire calls his private bank. The bank instantly approves a line of credit secured by the billionaire's shares in a company or perhaps his art collection. Within hours, the bank wires $40 million to the auction house. The billionaire walks away with the Picasso. He still owns all his assets. He hasn't triggered taxes. And he's just added another crown jewel to his empire. Santa Claus, this is what I call financial magic. My elves wrap toys. Private bankers wrap up liquidity in neat packages of credit. And trust me, their ribbons are made of pure gold. These credit lines aren't small. Some billionaires have revolving credit facilities of hundreds of millions, even billions, with global banks. The banks compete to lend them money because lending to billionaires is the safest business in the world. After all, how risky is it to lend $100 million to someone who owns 3 skyscrapers in Manhattan, 2 oil companies, and a portfolio of Patek Philippe watches that could fund an entire country? For banks, billionaires are the dream clients. They borrow big, they pay interest without blinking, and they keep all their wealth invested in the bank's hands. But let's go deeper. These aren't ordinary loans. They come with conditions so favorable they almost defy belief. Interest rates are minuscule, often below market, because the collateral, stocks, art, real estate, is so valuable. There are no fixed repayment schedules. Billionaires can roll over their loans indefinitely. And the credit lines are structured in such creative ways that they often double as tax optimization strategies. Borrow against your wealth, spend freely at Christmas, and technically, you've spent nothing at all. Santa Claus, ordinary people get nervous about 15% interest rates on their credit cards. Billionaires laugh at that. They borrow at 1% or less, sip champagne in Portugal, and let their investments grow faster than the cost of the loan. Ho, ho, ho. That's why they stay rich and richer. Now, you may ask, what do they actually buy with these vast, invisible rivers of credit? The answer is everything. December is the time of year when billionaires go on financial shopping sprees. They use credit to buy artworks at Sotheby's and Christie's, entire collections bought on borrowed money, knowing the value will likely appreciate. Watches and jewelry, not just Rolexes, but million-dollar Richard Mille limited editions, graphed diamonds the size of snowballs, and Cartier pieces designed exclusively for Christmas. Real estate, yes. Some billionaires buy chalets in Portugal or penthouses in Manhattan as Christmas presents, financed entirely on credit lines. Experiences, renting a yacht for $3 million for a Christmas week, booking a ski resort for family and friends, or hiring Elton John to sing carols in the living room. The beauty of using credit is that billionaires don't tie up cash. Their money stays invested, growing in value, while they enjoy the holiday excess financed by banks. For them, Christmas is not just about giving, it's about optimizing. Santa Claus, and here's the irony, my friends. Ordinary families save up all year to buy gifts and cash. Billionaires borrow to buy their gifts, and somehow, borrowing makes them richer. That's why I always say, don't try to copy Santa's sleigh if you don't have the reindeer. Ho, ho, ho. There's another layer of magic, secrecy. These credit lines are discreet. Transactions are hidden in trusts, offshore vehicles, and complex structures. While the world thinks a billionaire just paid cash for a $50 million jewel, in reality, the jewel is sitting in a safe as collateral for the loan that paid for it. The bank holds the strings, the billionaire holds the jewel, and no one sees the paperwork. It's invisible finance at its finest. Santa Claus, when I deliver gifts, they're wrapped in shiny paper. When billionaires receive gifts, they're wrapped in financial instruments. Slightly less festive, but much more profitable. One of my favorite stories comes from London. A billionaire wanted to surprise his wife with a rare diamond necklace on Christmas Eve. The problem? The necklace cost $15 million, and his cash was tied up in a major deal. So what did he do? He called his banker. By the time the shops closed, the banker had arranged a line of credit against the billionaire's art collection. The jeweler received the money. The wife received the necklace. And the billionaire? He still owned all his art and paid a few thousand in interest. Merry Christmas indeed. Another story from Dubai, a royal family member wanted to gift his nephews with sports cars. Not just any cars, mind you, a fleet of Ferraris. The price tag? Tens of millions. Instead of withdrawing funds, he charged it to a special credit facility backed by oil revenues. The Ferraris were delivered in red and green ribbons, and the banker quietly billed the credit line. For the nephews, it was a Christmas miracle. For the banker, it was just another December Tuesday. This is why private banks love December. For them, it's Christmas too, only their gifts are measured in transaction fees and interest payments. The more billionaires borrow, the more banks profit. And the cycle continues year after year, Christmas after Christmas. Santa Claus, so my dear friends, when you hear me say that December is my busiest month, know that I share that title with the bankers of Zurich, Geneva, London, and Wall Street. While I fly through the night delivering toys, they work around the clock delivering liquidity. And between you and me, their sleighs are a lot more expensive than mine. 3. The world's most exclusive Christmas cards, ho ho ho. Now, my dear friends, it's time for me to reveal one of the most glamorous secrets of billionaire Christmas shopping. And no, I don't mean the Christmas cards with glitter and candy canes that I deliver to your fireplace. I mean cards of a very different kind, cards made of titanium, gold, and even diamonds. Cards so powerful they can buy a yacht, a chalet in Portugal, or a necklace worth more than my entire sleigh workshop, all with a single swipe. Yes, indeed. Welcome to the world of the most exclusive Christmas cards, the keys to billionaire luxury during the holidays. Christmas tree, why billionaires need super cards for billionaires. A normal credit card is about as useful as a toy from my workshop. Spending limits? Declines? Call centers that put you on hold? Ho, ho, ho. Forget it. Billionaires need cards that don't say no, cards that move millions instantly, that book the unbookable, that make December wishes come true with the speed of a sleigh. Santa Claus, while most people wonder if their card will be approved at the checkout line, billionaires swipe cards that can buy the whole store. Meanwhile, Santa is just trying to buy carrots for the reindeer with his old debit card. Ho, 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 Blackheart the American Express Centurion. The famous black card, this is the legend. The Amex Centurion, known as the Black Card, is perhaps the most famous of all. Invitation only. You can't apply, you can only be invited. And to be invited, you typically need to spend at least $250,000 to $500,000 per year on Amex cards. Costly to own. A $10,000 initiation fee, plus $5,000 annually, just for the privilege of holding it. No limit. That's right, if you want to charge a $10 million Christmas present, the card won't blink. Santa Claus, I once held a black card in my mitten. Heavy as a fruitcake, shiny as Rudolph's nose, and more dangerous than mistletoe at an office party. Christmas stories with the black card. A billionaire once charged an entire private jet on his black card as a last-minute Christmas trip for his family to Aspen. The bill? Over $2 million. Approved in seconds. Another used it to buy a $5 million diamond necklace for his wife on Christmas Eve, delivered by helicopter before midnight. Amex Centurion also provides concierge services that arrange almost anything, from private Christmas concerts by Mariah Carey to securing last-minute chalet rentals in Portugal that were supposedly fully booked. Santa Claus, when I deliver gifts, I rely on reindeer. When billionaires need gifts, they rely on Amex concierges. Same speed, very different uniforms. Gemstone the JP Morgan Reserve. Banking royalty in a card, then we have the JP Morgan Reserve card, known in some circles as the Palladium card. Exclusivity, only offered to clients with $10 million plus in assets managed by JP Morgan Private Bank. If you don't already have $10 million parked there, forget it. Made of metal. The card is pure palladium, heavier than most wedding rings. Some versions even had real 24K gold trim. Benefits: it gives access to private lounges, elite travel perks, and most importantly, a direct line to private bankers who can move mountains for you in December. Santa Claus, I tried to put one of these cards in my wallet, but it was so heavy it tipped me right off the sleigh. Ho, ho, ho. Christmas stories with the JP Morgan Reserve. One client used it to rent out Rockefeller Center's ice rink on Christmas Eve, just for his family. The price? $500,000. Swiped in seconds. Another used it to book an entire ski resort in Wyoming for a private Christmas week with 50 guests. Everything chalets, chefs, snowmobiles, charged to the reserve. A royal family member used it to arrange a last-minute delivery of exotic white tigers as a Christmas surprise for his children. The reserve concierge made it happen. Santa Claus, meanwhile, when I surprise kids at Christmas, it's with teddy bears. Their surprises roar. Slightly different. Crown the Dubai First Royale MasterCard. The king of cards if the Amex Black Card is the most famous. The Dubai First Royale MasterCard is the most extravagant. Design: trimmed in real gold with a diamond embedded in the center. Yes, a real diamond on the card. Exclusivity: only available by personal invitation from the royal family of Dubai. It's not about money, it's about power. Privileges: unlimited spending, 24/7 concierge, and access to the most exclusive experiences in the Middle East and beyond. Santa Claus, I once saw one of these cards up close. It sparkled so much that I thought it was part of my Christmas decorations. Then I realized, no, that's just someone's credit card. Christmas stories with the Royale card. A billionaire once used it to buy 20 gold-plated Lamborghinis as Christmas gifts for his cousins. Another booked every suite in the Burj Al Arab for a private Christmas party, fountains of champagne, Swarovski crystal trees, and even snow machines flown in from Switzerland. Some families use it to charter entire Emirates A380 planes, converting them into flying Christmas palaces. Santa Claus, when I travel, I use reindeer. When billionaires travel, they turn entire airplanes into reindeer-less sleighs. Briefcase other secretive elite cards beyond these famous names. There are other cards whispered about in billionaire circles. Coutts Silk Card, UK offered by the Queen's Bank, Coutts, known for serving royalty and aristocrats. Benefits include access to London's most exclusive Christmas events. Straightest Rewards White Card, designed for ultra-wealthy frequent flyers, offering private jet discounts and custom travel experiences. Shin on the Black Card, Korea, South Korea's most exclusive card, limited to a few hundred individuals, perfect for billionaires in Asia celebrating Christmas in style. 4. What billionaires actually buy in December? So far, we've peeked into the vaults of banks and seen the magical credit lines of the ultra-rich. We've even held the heavy, glittering cards that billionaires swipe when December rolls around. But now, my dear friends, it's time to answer the most exciting question of all. What do billionaires actually buy for Christmas? Because while ordinary families are shopping for sweaters, toys, and perhaps a new phone, the world's wealthiest are making purchases so extravagant they could fund entire cities. Let me take you on a journey through the shopping lists of billionaires, where gifts aren't measured in dollars, but in millions. December is not just about celebrations for billionaires. It is about opportunity, prestige, and symbolism. Their Christmas gifts are never just objects. They are statements, investments, trophies, and ways to cement status in circles where money alone no longer impresses. And this is where banks, auction houses, jewelers, and luxury brands go into overdrive, because they know that in December, billionaires are at their most generous and most competitive. Each gift must be bigger, rarer, and more unforgettable than the last. Santa Claus, when I fly over Beverly Hills or Mayfair in December, I can see the twinkling trees inside mansions, surrounded not by wrapped boxes from the local mall, but by safes disguised as presents, crates of art, and envelopes containing the deeds to entire properties. Trust me, even my elves are jealous. So, let's dive into the categories of gifts that define billionaire Christmas. First, there is art. Billionaires are obsessed with buying art in December, partly because the biggest auction houses, Christie's, Sotheby's, Phillips hold winter sales during this season. Imagine walking into a room where a Van Gogh, a Basquiat, and a Warhol are all up for bidding, and billionaires wave their hands not to buy a nice poster, but to secure cultural immortality. A single painting can fetch $50 or $100 million, and for the ultra-rich, what better Christmas gift than a masterpiece that grows in value each year? Some families even create traditions. Fathers buying Picassos for sons, mothers buying sculptures for daughters, each December adding another piece to a generational collection. Santa Claus, meanwhile, my elves decorate the workshop with candy canes and snowflakes. These folks decorate their living rooms with Monets and Picassos. Ho, 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 then come watch us. Luxury timepieces are a favorite Christmas gift because they are both personal and symbolic. A Patek Philippe Nautilus or an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak is not just a watch, it is a declaration of power. But billionaires don't stop at what you see in boutiques. They commission unique pieces from watchmakers, custom dials, rare materials, limited runs of one or two. Some spend millions on vintage Rolex Daytonas or Richard Mille watches with technology so advanced they look like they belong in a spaceship. Giving a watch at Christmas is giving time itself, only in this case, time encrusted with diamonds. Next is jewelry. For billionaires, Christmas trees aren't the only things sparkling in December. Jewelry houses like Graff, Harry Winston, and Cartier roll out their rarest collections for December clients. Necklaces dripping with emeralds the size of golf balls, rings with flawless pink diamonds, and tiaras once worn by royalty. A single piece can cost $20 or $30 million. And here's the secret, many of these gifts double as investments. Rare diamonds appreciate in value, making them not only romantic gestures, but financial moves. Santa Claus, when Mrs. Claus gets a new necklace, it's usually made of candy canes. When billionaire wives get necklaces, they're made of stones worth more than the North Pole itself. Ho, ho, ho. But the shopping doesn't stop there. Billionaires also gift real estate. Yes, you heard me right. For Christmas, some billionaires buy chalets in Courchevel, villas in the Maldives, or penthouses in Manhattan. Imagine opening a little envelope under the tree, and inside is not a bracelet, not a card, but the deed to a $50 million apartment overlooking Central Park. Children of the ultra-rich sometimes receive entire homes as their Christmas stocking stuffers. And let's not forget yachts and jets. A few billionaires use December to order new toys of unimaginable scale. A 200-foot yacht delivered as a gift to the family. A Gulfstream jet wrapped metaphorically as a Christmas surprise. In one famous case, a billionaire presented his wife with the key to a brand new super yacht during Christmas dinner, the yacht itself waiting lit up in the harbor, decorated like a floating Christmas tree. Santa Claus, when I give rides on my sleigh, it's free. When billionaires give rides, it's on a $200 million yacht or a $70 million jet. Not bad for holiday transport, Ed. Some go for experiences rather than objects. A private concert with Andrea Bocelli in their own living room. A Christmas Eve party where Elton John plays carols on the piano. One family even hired Cirque du Soleil to perform a private holiday show in their backyard. Others book entire ski resorts for a week, flying in dozens of friends and family, shutting the gates, and turning the mountain into their personal Christmas playground. Prices for such experiences? Millions. But the memory, priceless. Banks play a huge role in all this. They arrange financing, coordinate with auction houses, liaise with jewelers, and ensure deliveries happen discreetly. Sometimes the logistics are as incredible as the gifts themselves. Imagine a banker arranging for a $20 million diamond to be flown across the world in time for Christmas morning, guarded by an entire security team dressed like ordinary travelers. Or a Picasso shipped secretly in crates labeled as holiday decorations. Santa Claus, I deliver toys down chimneys. Banks deliver Picassos in armored trucks. Both arrive by Christmas morning, but only one has insurance policies thicker than my beard. There are also the stranger gifts, the ones that make even Santa raise an eyebrow. A billionaire gifting a personal submarine to his teenage son. Another buying a rare dinosaur skeleton as a Christmas present for his daughter. One oligarch once purchased a private island as a Christmas gift, complete with a team of architects already on site to build a mansion before the new year. And here's the twist. Not all of these purchases are about pleasure. Many are about strategy. By buying art, jewelry, or property in December, billionaires move assets, structure wealth, and lock in tax advantages before the year ends. A Christmas gift is often also a financial maneuver hidden behind ribbons and bows. Santa Claus, when you see a billionaire placing a giant gift under the tree, don't be fooled. That box may look festive, but inside is an asset class, a tax shield, and a future fortune disguised as holiday cheer. So when you ask what billionaires buy in December, the answer is simple. They buy symbols. Symbols of love, symbols of power, symbols of wealth. They buy the rarest art, the most dazzling jewelry, the most exclusive watches, the grandest villas, the fastest cars, the largest yachts. And sometimes, they buy things that no one else could even imagine asking for. Santa Claus, meanwhile, in most houses, children write letters asking me for dolls or video games. In billionaire houses, the letters I see under the trees say, "Dear Santa, please bring me a Ferrari, a Richard Mille, and maybe a small island in the Caribbean." And you know what? Thanks to their banks, they actually get them. So, my friends, December isn't just about Christmas for billionaires. It's about staging a performance, a grand spectacle of giving where every gift is a statement to the world. And for those who wonder why banks work overtime in December, now you know. Because someone has to make sure the Ferraris, the Picassos, and the yachts are all gift-wrapped and delivered by Christmas morning. Santa Claus and me? Well, I'll stick to my cookies, milk, and toys. But every year, when I see those twinkling mansions with golden gifts inside, I tip my hat to the banks who make it happen. Ho, 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 what a Christmas business it is. 5 banks as Santa's helpers. Ho, 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 my dear friends, you've heard me called the greatest gift giver in history. And it's true, I deliver joy to millions of homes every December. But let me tell you a secret. I am not the only Santa working overtime in this season. In fact, I have competitors. Not elves with pointy hats, but bankers in tailored suits. Not sleighs, but skyscrapers. Not bags of toys, but vaults of money. Yes, indeed, banks are the true helpers of billionaires at Christmas, delivering gifts not in stockings, but in wire transfers, credit lines, and luxury packages worth millions. For ordinary families, a bank in December means standing in line to deposit a paycheck, maybe taking out a loan for holiday shopping, or paying off credit card bills. But for billionaires, December turns private banks into luxury workshops, buzzing with activity as teams of bankers handle wish lists that make even Santa blush. Imagine elves with calculators instead of hammers, wrapping gifts not in paper, but in financial contracts. That's the world we're about to enter. Santa Claus, while my elves polish wooden trains and teddy bears, private bankers polish balance sheets and deliver rare diamonds. Trust me, they're busier than my reindeer. Christmas-tree the concierge bankers, private bankers, are not like the tellers you see at local branches. These are highly trained relationship managers, often working with only 10 or 20 ultra-wealthy families each. They know their clients' preferences, their holiday traditions, even their favorite brands. In December, they act as concierges. A billionaire doesn't call a jewelry store to ask if a necklace is available. He calls his banker. The banker contacts Harry Winston, negotiates the deal, arranges secure delivery, and ensures it arrives under the Christmas tree on time. Another billionaire doesn't book his chalet in Courchevel through Expedia. He calls his banker, who closes the deal, pre-stocks the fridge with Dom Perignon, and flies in a Michelin star chef before the family arrives. Santa Claus, when I get a letter asking for a toy train, my elves build it. When billionaires ask for a train, their bankers build an actual railway in their backyard. Ho, 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 briefcase wish lists measured in millions every December, private banks receive what can only be described as Christmas wish lists. Only these lists don't say dollhouse or Lego set. They say things like, 1 Richard Mille RM56-02 Sapphire watch, custom. A villa in St. Tropez, closing by December 24th. Front row seats to Andrea Bocelli's Christmas concert, plus dinner with him afterward. A Bugatti Chiron in emerald green, delivered with a red ribbon. And yes, the bankers make it happen. They call luxury houses, realtors, auction houses, artists, and even governments if necessary. Nothing is too big, too fast, or too unusual. For them, Christmas is a test of creativity and connections. Santa Claus, you think I'm good at delivering toys in one night? These bankers deliver multi-million-dollar treasures in less time than it takes me to polish my boots. Detective, the importance of discretion. One of the most valuable things banks provide at Christmas is not just money, it's secrecy. Billionaires don't want the world to know what they're buying, for how much, or for whom. A banker arranges deliveries discreetly. Art shipped in crates labeled holiday decorations. Diamonds transported by armored couriers dressed as ordinary travelers. Yachts docked quietly under shell companies. Santa Claus, when I deliver gifts, everyone sees me squeeze through the chimney. When banks deliver gifts, no one sees a thing. They're like invisible Santas in Armani suits. This discretion also extends to family politics. Sometimes, gifts are extravagant but controversial. A banker ensures that wealth is distributed without public fights, that tax strategies are preserved, and that the entire process looks like generosity rather than financial maneuvering. In December, secrecy is as valuable as sparkle. Sparkles banks as magicians of time. Another reason billionaires rely on banks during Christmas is that banks save time. While most people fight Christmas crowds in malls, billionaires are too busy running empires. They don't have time to haggle for gifts or wait on deliveries. Their bankers do it all. Imagine a banker on December 23rd, tasked with finding a rare Patek Philippe watch. The boutiques are sold out worldwide. But with one phone call to Geneva, the banker secures a piece reserved for a private client, flies it on a jet, and delivers it in time for Christmas Eve. That is not just banking. That is time travel. Santa Claus, even I wish I had bankers sometimes. My elves are great, but they can't move a Picasso across the Atlantic in 6 hours. Bar chart how banks profit from playing Santa, of course. Banks don't do this out of kindness. Every transaction comes with fees. Every loan generates interest. Every delivery strengthens loyalty. December is one of the most profitable months for private banks because clients borrow, spend, and move assets like never before. Banks earn interest on the massive credit lines billionaires use to buy Christmas gifts. They charge transaction fees on art deals, jewelry purchases, and real estate closings. They gain prestige and loyalty, ensuring clients stay with them for future generations. Santa Claus, I deliver gifts for free. Banks deliver gifts for a fee. The only thing we have in common is that we both get busier the closer it gets to Christmas Eve. Adult Christmas tree Santa's anecdotes from the banking world. Santa Claus. One year, I arrived at a mansion in London and saw something curious. Under the Christmas tree, there were no wrapped boxes. Instead, there were envelopes. Each envelope contained documents, stock transfers, deeds to properties, shares in companies. Gifts worth hundreds of millions, delivered not by me, but by the family's bank. That night, the banker was the real Santa, Santa Claus. Another time, in Dubai, a banker told me he had arranged for a client's son to receive a dinosaur skeleton for Christmas. Yes, a real fossil. Do you know how complicated that is? Permits, transport, insurance. It took weeks, but the banker delivered it, just in time to put under the world's biggest Christmas tree. Santa Claus. And in New York, one family asked their bank to make sure that Rockefeller Center's skating rink was empty for them alone on Christmas Eve. The banker didn't just run it, he filled it with carolers, snow machines, and hot chocolate fountains, all charged to the family's account. I skated by later, and even I had to admit, it was magical. Santa Claus. Closing thoughts. Banks as billionaire elves. Santa Claus. So, my dear friends, when you think of Christmas helpers, don't just picture elves in green outfits hammering away at toy trains. Picture bankers in suits, answering phones at midnight, calling jewelers in Paris, arranging jets to the Maldives, wiring millions across borders. For billionaires, banks are the true Christmas elves, delivering miracles disguised as financial transactions. And while I may still be the jolliest gift giver of them all, I tip my hat to those bankers, because in December, they work almost as hard as Santa. 6. The hidden power of December deals. Now listen carefully, my friends, because what I'm about to share is perhaps the greatest secret of all. You see, while most of the world thinks December is just about presents, decorations, and family dinners, for billionaires, December is something much bigger. December is a battlefield. December is strategy. December is the moment when the richest people in the world use banks not just to buy gifts, but to move empires, to hide fortunes, to protect wealth, and to create legacies. It's the hidden power of December deals, and it is far more fascinating than anything I carry in my sleigh. Christmas tree, why December matters in finance for the ultra-rich. December is the final chapter of the financial year. It's the month where profits are calculated, taxes loom, and strategies must be executed before the clock strikes midnight on December 31st. Every decision carries weight, because whatever isn't done before New Year's Eve becomes a problem in January. Banks know this. That's why December is not just festive, it's frantic. Billionaires sit with private bankers, wealth managers, and tax advisors, not to discuss which toy train to buy, but to decide how to move hundreds of millions across continents. Santa Claus, while ordinary families are counting how many cookies are left on the plate, billionaires are counting how much money they can save by moving assets before the new year. Different kinds of accounting, but equally important to each household. Ho, ho, ho. Briefcase deals disguised as gifts. One of the cleverest billionaire tricks is disguising financial transfers as holiday generosity. While a child might get a bicycle under the tree, a billionaire's child might get an envelope with trust fund documents. Gifting assets in December serves two purposes. It looks like Christmas spirit, and it locks in tax advantages before the year closes. Examples. A billionaire father gifts his son shares in a company on December 25th. It looks like a holiday gesture, but in reality, it moves wealth efficiently to the next generation. A grandmother gifts her grandchildren a property portfolio. The children think they're receiving a house. In truth, they're inheriting a financial empire, carefully timed to reduce estate taxes. Santa Claus, meanwhile, when I give gifts, I wrap them in paper with snowflakes. Billionaires wrap theirs in legal documents thicker than my beard. Detective December. The month of hidden transactions, private banks are busiest in December because it's the perfect month to hide financial moves. Everyone is distracted by the holidays, markets slow down, regulators take vacations. In this quiet chaos, billionaires quietly move billions. Art deals, paintings purchased not just as gifts, but as portable assets that can be stored offshore. Jewelry transactions, diamonds serve as discrete stores of value, easier to move than wire transfers. Real estate closings, properties often change hands in December, disguised as Christmas purchases, but really serving tax planning purposes. Santa Claus, if you ever wonder why auction houses do so well in December, it's because half the world is buying gifts, and the other half is moving wealth under the mistletoe. Bar chart tax strategies wrapped in tinsel taxes are one of the main reasons December is so powerful for billionaires. In many countries, the financial year ends on December 31st. That means billionaires have until that date to lock in losses, claim deductions, or shift assets in ways that will save them millions. Examples: harvesting losses. A billionaire sells underperforming assets in December, turning a bad investment into a tax shield. Charitable donations. Many billionaires make enormous December donations to foundations they themselves control. It reduces taxes and polishes reputations at the same time. Offshore trusts. Wealth is quietly moved to islands like Bermuda or the Cayman Islands, structured so that heirs inherit without heavy estate taxes. Santa Claus, when most people donate in December, it's a bag of toys or a few coins in a jar. When billionaires donate, it's $100 million wired offshore with a smile and a tax deduction. Ho, ho, ho. Locked legacy building during the holidays December is also when billionaires think about legacy. The symbolism of Christmas, family gathered, gifts exchanged, generations under one roof, makes it the perfect moment to discuss inheritance. Banks help structure these legacies, often using Christmas gatherings as the backdrop for massive wealth transfers. Picture it, a billionaire patriarch sitting by a roaring fire, handing out not toys, but trust fund papers to his children. Each child receives a gift, which is actually a carefully calculated inheritance plan. The family smiles, the wealth is secured, and the bank charges a handsome fee for arranging it all. Santa Claus, I hand out teddy bears. They hand out holding companies. Slightly different packages, but the smiles look the same. Sparkle's December mergers and acquisitions. Here's another secret. Many billion-dollar mergers and acquisitions are finalized in December. Why? Because executives want to close deals before year-end, ensuring clean books and fresh starts in January. For billionaires, that means buying or selling companies in the same month most people are buying wrapping paper. Banks play a critical role here, arranging financing, structuring contracts, and ensuring signatures happen before champagne corks pop at New Year's parties. Santa Claus, when I pop champagne on New Year's Eve, it's to celebrate finishing my deliveries. When billionaires pop champagne, it's to celebrate acquiring an oil company. Different kinds of cheer, but equally bubbly, adult Christmas tree Santa's anecdotes about December deals. Santa Claus, one year, I visited a billionaire family in Switzerland. Under their tree were not toys or gadgets, but folders. Inside each folder, ownership papers to ski resorts, handed to children as Christmas presents. Each smile that night was worth millions in tax savings. Santa Claus another year in Hong Kong. I watched as a banker delivered a Christmas gift to a client. Not a wrapped box, but the final contract for a billion-dollar merger. It was signed under the Christmas tree, with champagne flowing. For them, that was the real gift. Santa Claus, and in New York, I once delivered toys to a penthouse where the parents were in another room finalizing a trust transfer worth $500 million. Their kids got dolls and toy cars. They got a financial fortress. Ho, 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 Santa Claus closing thoughts. The hidden magic of December. Santa Claus, so, my dear friends, now you see why December is not just about jingling bells and Christmas carols. For billionaires, December is the month of hidden power. Gifts become assets. Donations become strategies, parties become meetings, and stockings are stuffed not with candy, but with shares, diamonds, and deeds. Banks orchestrate it all, working behind the scenes like invisible elves, making sure that when the year ends, their clients are richer, safer, and ready for another year of luxury. And while I may still be the jolliest Santa of them all, I can't deny, in the world of billionaires, the banks are running their own Christmas miracle. 7. Christmas banking stories from Santa's list. My dear friends, we've traveled together through vaults of gold, through secret credit lines, through diamond-encrusted cards, through yachts, jets, and even space. But before I return to my sleigh and the North Pole, I want to share with you some of my favorite stories. Not stories of toys or candy canes, but of billionaires, banks, and the extraordinary things that happen every December when Christmas meets money on a scale you can hardly imagine. These are the Christmas banking stories from Santa's very own naughty and nice list. Christmas tree the London Diamond dash a few years ago. In London, a billionaire husband wanted to surprise his wife with a rare blue diamond. The problem? The gem was locked in a private vault in Geneva. It was December 23rd. The stores were closing, the snow was falling, and the jeweler said, impossible. But when you're ultra-rich, impossible is just another way of saying, call your banker. By the next morning, a private jet landed in London with the diamond, escorted by armed couriers. The banker delivered the package personally, wrapped in red velvet. On Christmas morning, the wife opened a box not much bigger than a cookie tin, but inside was a stone worth $30 million. The children gasped. The butlers applauded. Santa shook his head and thought, and here I am with dolls and teddy bears. Credit card the Rockefeller Ice Rink takeover in New York. One powerful family decided they didn't want to skate with crowds at Rockefeller Center. No, they wanted the rink to themselves. Their banker made a few calls. By Christmas Eve, the entire rink was closed to the public, guarded by security. The family skated alone, under the giant Christmas tree, with a choir singing carols just for them. The cost? $500,000, charged neatly to a private account. Santa Claus, meanwhile, I was skating outside Central Park with Mrs. Claus, trying not to slip on the ice. Different budgets, different experiences. Ho, ho, ho! Desert Island, the island under the tree, one oligarch in the Middle East once gave his daughter an island as a Christmas gift. Yes, an island. The banker arranged the paperwork, the lawyers worked overtime, and by December 25th, the girl was unwrapping documents granting her ownership of her very own paradise. The next summer, construction began on her private mansion. Santa Claus, when I say I deliver dreams, I mean teddy bears and candy. These bankers deliver entire coastlines. Ho, 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 Detective the Billionaire's small gesture. Not all billionaire stories are about extravagance. Sometimes they're about scale. In Switzerland, a private banker told me that one of his clients decided to donate $50 million to charity every December. But here's the twist. The charity was his own foundation. The money stayed under his control, gained him tax benefits, polished his reputation, and yet it still looked like generosity. That's the beauty and the irony of December deals. Santa Claus, I give gifts with no strings attached. Billionaires give gifts with entire ropes of conditions tied to them. Still, the bows are very pretty. Thank the secret Santa banker. And then there are the bankers themselves. One night in Zurich, I saw a banker leaving his office at 2 a.m. in December. I asked him, "Why so late?" He smiled and said, "Because my client wants to surprise his son with a dinosaur skeleton for Christmas, and I need to make sure the permits arrive in time." A dinosaur skeleton. The banker was more stressed than my elves on Christmas Eve. But sure enough, the skeleton was delivered, assembled, and glowing under the Christmas lights by the 25th. Santa Claus, my elves build toy dinosaurs. These bankers deliver the real thing. I have to admit, sometimes I feel outclassed. Santa Claus, so, my dear friends, what have we learned tonight? That while you and I think of Christmas as a time of joy, family, and simple pleasures, for billionaires it's also a stage for power, prestige, and financial maneuvering. Their banks act as elves. Their vaults act as workshops. Their cards are keys to kingdoms most of us will never see. And in December, when the bells are ringing and the snow is falling, these financial miracles unfold in secret, behind closed doors, with some so vast they make Santa's sack look light. Ho, 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 Santa Claus, now, before I take off into the night sky, I have some questions for you. Because Santa doesn't just deliver gifts, Santa listens. And this time, I want to hear from you in the comments. Backhand index pointing right if you had unlimited money. What would you buy for Christmas? Would it be a diamond necklace? A private island? Or something simple, like a dream trip with your family? Backhand index pointing right if you could own one of the Billionaire credit cards, the Amex Black, the JP Morgan Reserve, or the Dubai Royale. Which one would you choose? And what would you buy with your first swipe? Backhand index pointing right, would you rather celebrate Christmas in a snowy chalet in Portugal, on a yacht in St. Bart's, in a penthouse in New York, or in orbit above Earth, floating in space with the stars as your Christmas lights? Backhand index pointing right, what's the most extravagant gift you have ever received? And what's the most extravagant gift you have ever given? Santa Claus, don't be shy, write it all in the comments below. Every comment helps this video spread further, and besides, Santa loves to read your dreams and wishes. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll deliver them. Santa Claus, so my dear friends, thank you for joining me on this magical journey through banks, billionaires, and Christmas secrets. We've flown through credit lines, danced with cards, admired jewels, unwrapped real estate, and even peeked into secret December deals. I hope you've enjoyed this adventure as much as I have enjoyed telling it. And remember, whether your Christmas is filled with toys or treasures, yachts or pajamas, what truly matters is the joy, the laughter, and the memories we create with those we love. That, my friends, is the greatest wealth of all. Santa Claus, now it's time for me to polish the sleigh, feed the reindeer, and get ready for another long night. Don't forget to leave me some cookies and maybe a glass of champagne this year if you're feeling generous. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, and I'll see you at the next chimney.